Hello and welcome back to the Morning Skate podcast. I am your host, DJ Mitchell, here with Matt Moody for our last big slate, I believe, at least for, the normal weekday slates until the break. Matt, how is your Thursday going? Or, well, I guess Wednesday at this point, but how is your week going?
Could be better, but it's also not terrible. Was a number of blocked shots away from a big night last night. DFS had some Dylan Gunther, like in I think 3 of my 5 lineups. I made several lineups to chase down the qualifier because I'm a sick donkey, but wasn't quite enough to get to the top. I think I finished like 6th or 7th in like the 140 or 180 person qualifier. So gave it a run. But lost a decent amount on the night still because that's how it goes. But yeah, I guess fine if all things considered. Today was a bit of a crazy day, but I think Wednesday night's okay. We'll have to see. There's only one game in the going so far, so that's kind of why I'm like I don't know. But yeah, how is your Wednesday and how was your Tuesday?
Tuesday was overall good. My DFS lineup was solid. It just was never getting there. It was like one of those where it's not a min cash, but it's not quite anything that makes it move. The betting card, I think I'm back to back now. I'm missing by one leg. While it be 2 points, it was technically one leg in the parlay. Whatever, it just is what it is. I had a bigger sweat that I sort of like last second bet, like this huge monster slip that I just put together. And that was a sweat until Colorado did score. I don't know. I'm having fun, but I'm not winning a ton of money. So I'd rather have no fun and win a ton of money. So how about we try that?
I feel like I wouldn't do this if it wasn't fun, honestly.
Yeah, right. I know.
I don't know. I just feel like there's so many better ways to spend your time than doing something you actively hate, which is why I don't play NBA, for example.
Right. God. I feel like it's good. It's good, but it could be great. And it was so close multiple times to being very good or to great that like I'm ready for Thursday. I'm ready for this 9-game slate. I don't know if things are getting clearer as time goes on or if maybe the process is getting more refined or whatever, but I feel like we've been doing very well collectively and the show has made a lot of good points and takes. And I don't know. Let me break my arm jerking myself off here for a second. I think we've been doing good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that I guess technically we got it wrong, but also right was the Utah situation. I mean, I thought it was going to be so owned because I thought it was just, the best play pretty much. Yeah. And, we mentioned that Gunther could be back and how that would be kind of fun. And, so if you rode that information we got on Tuesday morning, you probably had success. I think Saul got passed late, but Saul was, I think, second in the 555. Got passed by, I think, the Nylander hat trick, which is very funny. But Gunther was basically a must-have in order to win. So Utah made a lot of stuff work. They're in another pretty good matchup here that we are going to have to talk about. So yeah, I think we can just sort of get into things. I don't know if there's anything else. The cover
9 games. Yeah, 9 games. I believe Saturday is the end until the break.
No,
right?
There's a few games Sunday.
But there's like 3 games like at 1:00 on Sunday. That's right. So
yeah,
not too many more slates left until I think it's not quite 2 full weeks, but right about 2 weeks off. So yeah, let's get into it. We have 9 games, which isn't quite the 14 we almost covered last time, but we only really covered 9 or 10. I mean, you ready to get right into it with Ottawa, Tampa?
Yep. Well, let's do it. I did not test the screen sharing, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's a 5.5 minus 122. It is Tampa minus 162 at home. Not the most exciting game to kick off the slate with. There's interesting pieces. It feels very much like I feel like it's starting to feel more like playing Ottawa last year, where you just Like if you're playing Audible, like how do you not play Brady? You know what I mean? Like how do you not click that button? Because it just all the numbers are pointing to this positive regression. And like it's probably a fine play on this slate, all things considered, because Pinto went down. I think we're expecting him to be out. There's a chance maybe of 11-7 or just, a bunch of players that just aren't NHL quality. And if Ottawa gets there, it's going to have to come through sort of this 4-man unit plus Sanderson. On the same token, are you really stacking this game? Are you really going to, go all the way in against Tampa? I just feel like you're kind of fighting this uphill battle that doesn't need to be fought. So what are your thoughts here?
If you think you are going insane, you are not. This is the exact game
It's the same game,
from Tuesday in Tampa even. You mentioned the Shane Pinto thing. That opens up a colossus of minutes for somebody. Tim Stützle basically filled all of that last game. That top line, Kachuk, Stützle, Giroux played a ton. But in reality, once again, the Adam Gaudette signal is going up. 2,700. He's got to play some. I mean, he's got to play some hockey here. We know he can score.
I mean, he played 9 minutes and Pinto played 3. So
again,
do what you want to do.
I don't know.
They're just going to play Ridley Gregg. They're just going to play 20 minutes of Stützle, Giroux, Batherson, the Chuck, Ridley Gregg, and there's a bunch of players
and
that
they
are
lost.
bad.
And they lost.
And
so
they're going to do it again, though. They're going to. I don't know. I think that's my problem here is that nothing feels good on Ottawa, and Tampa's too expensive. And even though Pinto is a player, he doesn't really move the needle all that much for me. And Ottawa's still very, very good defensively. Jensen was back. I know there was 7 goals in the last game, but I just don't really buy that continuing again. So I think I'm going to end up fading this game. I understand. I honestly think I understand playing the Tampa side more, but there is a very high concentration of minutes, and Sanderson is still a value. So do with that information what you want.
Yep. Tampa also had an early injury. Nick Paul left almost immediately, but he practiced today, so I guess he's fine. So check that. But we saw some heightened minutes as a result, though Tampa, of course, is more likely to do that than the average team. Just jumble the lines anyway and just play Kucherov 25 minutes regardless. So that all happened. It's all fine. Power play stayed the same, though. Top line remains 23.4K. He combined with Darren Radish and Mitchell Chafee on the power play. So, same. Kind of interesting that Brandon Hagel and Cirelli, they're getting a little bit cheaper. And again, Kucherov sort of just plays both power plays now. So you're getting a pretty decent stack sub 20K by doing that. I don't know. I don't think I'll go there myself, but it's at least an option if we wanted to. And then Mikey Isimont played there because Connor Geeky got sent down to the AHL. He didn't play a ton, but we like him in general. You see, he's a shooter. So I think we would need to see a lot more minutes than what we have, but God forbid you need a punt. This is a guy who we've used from time to time, and I don't hate it. So anything you want to add here?
We saw Hedman on the top power play. I mean, that again, saying the top power play, like the goal that was scored on the power play, at least what HockeyViz has, was Kucherov from Hedman, but Hagel, Cirelli, and Gensel were out there. The power plays are kind of a mess. And
it's just line changes.
Okay, let me get to my main point here. Because the power play changed, I have to assume Darren Radish ended up being incredibly low owned because
what do you mean
Provorov
change? Like just line changes, like players change lines on the power play.
They practice with Hedman on the top power play.
Okay.
I'm saying that I think Hedman was on the top power play on purpose because they practiced with that before the game.
Okay, but you're saying Cirelli and Hagel were line.
It doesn't matter. That doesn't really matter what I'm saying at all. Who cares? I mean, your point was that Kucherov is on the power play the whole time. Yes. My point is that Radish was not shown on the top power play, got a good amount of run, and still paired with Kucherov, but didn't come in with the ownership because the power play changed.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't. We'll get to it. He didn't come in with the ownership because of the parrot sitting on your shoulder right now. But
exactly. And Ivan Provorov took over all the. But I'm saying, like, if you're playing Kucherov, you can still play Darren Radish. Is my point. I don't know
Sure.
why this
Yep.
is this. Am I not being clear about this?
You can. Darren Radish sucks, and I hate him because I bet on
Okay.
him every slate for the first 2 weeks of the season, and he did nothing. So now when the field's like, oh, I'm going to play him, I just get angry.
He is one of our 4 listeners right now, and you're going to say that about him? I mean, come on, man. That's pretty disrespectful. I mean, like the volume has been there. I mean, he had what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shot attempts again. Like the attempts are there, the minutes are there, the role is still there, and like he's not going to get the ownership. So like I just don't think it's a terrible pivot. That's all I'm trying to say. And I said it in probably a way too long, confusing way, but that was all I was trying to say. Is that I think Darren Radish is still a good, valuable punt option.
Yep, makes sense. Here is the overall matchup. We see Tampa's been a reasonably up-tempo team, so the goal scoring hasn't been there in any facet in this matchup, but otherwise they get the pace and the expected goals, and it looks fine. So I agree with you. The Tampa side is more interesting to me. So we can just keep things moving though, because we should just keep it going. Vegas
that's fair.
At New Jersey. DJ, you mentioned this off the top of the show. Thankfully, it seems like unless Jacob Markstrom has a miraculous recovery, Vegas will be facing a backup. So anything to say about Vegas?
Yeah, I was actually trying to look. I knew who tweeted it, but they have not beaten a starting goalie, or they only had like 1 win against a starting goalie in like 14 games or something. I'm trying to find the exact stat. It was from the Sin Bin Vegas, and I'm trying to find the exact stat. It was. I'll find it quickly. But
DJ, while we're live, did you see Edmonton lines for tonight? They're very weird.
No.
Arvidsson, McDavid, Hyman, Skinner, Draisaitl, and Podkolzin.
I mean, my parlay is dead probably because Zibanejad has 1 shot, though I don't really even need to worry about it, but
that makes one of us.
You have how many? 35 seconds? Okay, I got the stat. The Vegas Golden Knights are 1-8-3 in their last 12 games against starting goaltenders. So in their last 12 games, they have 1 win against a starting goaltender. That would be the stat. I hope you got your lineup change in time. My apologies for the I guess I was even more confused because you seemed to be frantic, and I was like, "Are you searching for the stat that hard? It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't really matter. Goalies don't matter." So Vegas, I would consider them to be the most annoying team in the NHL. They have not been good. They continuously jumble the lines every period, it feels like, and I mean the unfortunate reality of the slate tomorrow is that no one's going to play them. And Jack Eichel is still very, very good. He went from 9K to 7,700 in like a week. And has he been bad? No.
I mean,
is he getting a ton of run? Yes. Is this a good matchup? Obviously not. But I think you could play Eichel here.
And his line mates are cheaper too. I mean, we're looking at a 17K line. So
it's a good play. This feels like the Florida play from Tuesday, only not going to get owned.
Well, Florida didn't get owned either. They were like 7%. And I was like, oh, I spent the entire day, not just the podcast. I'm in the Discord, and after chewing on the podcast and watching stuff from around the content mill, I'm just reading and going, there's no way Florida comes in below 12%. They're projected at 4% right now. What are we doing? Like, they're going to be 12%. And so, I mean, they didn't do much anyway, so it didn't really matter. I played them with Washington. That did a decent amount, but for scoring 6 goals, they didn't break the slate. So I did a game stack because I'm like, well, at least if they're, not, if they're owned, I'll get a little bit different. And Washington wound up more owned than them. So, like, I don't know. I can't imagine Vegas gets any ownership here.
No.
The projections are just too uncertain. And the nice thing about Vegas is that they are an incredibly, low floor, high ceiling type team. Outside of Eichel, of course, he's pretty predictable. But like Mark Stone, Barbashev, Dorofeyev, like they're all pretty much goal or bust type guys. They're very rarely going to offer anything in the realm of bonuses, shots or blocks wise. Hurdle's been a bit more consistent. His price tag is still very friendly, but like I don't think I'm playing Vegas without Eichel and Theodore, and like I think I'd rather just play one of the wingers than Tomas Hurdle. But I'm also fine with a total power play stack too. I mean, this team runs through a handful of guys. Alex Holtz was in the top 6. He played 10 minutes. Like these guys are just not like Cassidy's just not going to play the bottom lines if the team's losing, and they're losing a whole lot lately. They're on the road in a tough matchup, so I'm cool with playing pretty much any of the power play one guys or Ivan Barbashev. I'm also very interested in Shea Theodore. He's been crushing it as of late, almost 11 expected fantasy points per game. We'll be able to see a bit better on the rainbow chart that I post on Thursday, where that ranks among defensemen. But like on the slate, I think that's one of the highest marks we were going to see. I think we have a few guys to consider, but like Theodore's been awesome, and I don't think he gets any ownership. And like the rest of his teammates, his price is falling. So on the New Jersey side, another injury question mark. I mean, we're just full of them. Jonas Siegenthaler left last game, did not return. No update, no practice today. We'll get an update in morning skate apparently, so we'll see that on Thursday morning out of New Jersey. But this is the first time since Pesci and Luke Hughes returned, I think like 11 games into the regular season, that we've seen as much as a cold on the blue line. Like I don't think they've missed a game. Like straight up, these 6 guys have played.
Yeah.
What was that?
No, yeah, I mean like Pesci missed a bunch from the beginning, and then it's just been hunky dory. And like Luke Hughes played 30 minutes after Siegenthaler went down early. Like, I do think this could be interesting.
So we don't know what they're gonna do. Obviously, they blew up their D pairs for the first time on Tuesday. So like they could just go back to those pairs and put Kovacevic on like the third pair with probably Seamus Casey, but like I don't know. I guess we haven't seen a call up or anything, and there might be a lefty righty consideration to make there. But depending on who comes up, like it's gonna make their defense worse almost certainly because Siegenthaler is very good. They're already without Nico Hischier. We discussed that in favor of the Pittsburgh stuff from last slate. So yeah, I think that makes the matchup for Vegas a bit better. It makes me pretty interested in the top line of New Jersey as well. Dougie's probably going to play a bunch on defense, so like you can actually play him now. Maybe not. Maybe he stays at 18 minutes and whatever. It's Kovacevic and some AHL call up are still the shutdown pair, but like I don't think that's going to happen. So I like Dougie's chances of getting a better role with a true third pair in the mix should that happen. And he obviously correlates really well with Palat, Hughes, and Bratt. You can leave off Palat if you want. He's a bit pricey for offering nothing, but he's also power play correlated with these guys at the moment. So, I think New Jersey's a pretty natural stack. I don't think you're going to slip a, Hughes and Bratt combined to be 13.9K. I don't think you're slipping that past the field. So, like, there's probably going to be, 10, 12% ownership on that pairing. But I don't think I care too much about that at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the slate on DraftKings, and you're trying to say like where are the high totals, like every single game is 5.5 minus 120. I mean, really minus 110 to 130, except for one. That is pretty wild. So if you're sitting there thinking like, oh, this game's kind of boring or whatever, it's like I don't know. I mean, I think you could really talk me into anything, and talking yourself into Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, and Dougie Hamilton is I think a really, really good idea. There should be a high concentration of minutes. We're going to use some of the news for the Devils to probably make Dougie even a better play than he already was, which was probably pretty good. I like both sides here. Okay. It's very difficult to game stack it, of course, because it's going to be expensive because you're not playing Vegas and playing like, I mean, you could play like Dorofeyev and Hurdle, but like, I don't know. No, I think it's interesting because I don't think this game's going to garner a lot of ownership just because I really do think there'll be a decent concentration of ownership on a few teams. Most of them we haven't gotten to yet. So I do think this game, just again, Vegas is saying like it's just as likely as any other game to go crazy. So why not bet on a game that's going to have low ownership with very, very, very good reduced price options. Like Hughes and Brett are not that expensive comparatively to what they have been. So I think it's a really good opportunity.
All right. Very important tweet that I need to attend all my focus to at the moment. From the Montreal Canadiens, two truths, one lie, Dobby edition. Dobby. I'm not sure what they nickname him. Their goalie. Gummy bears are one of his favorite snacks. Is one.
Okay.
Number two, he loves watching cat videos. And number three, his apartment is always messy. Two truths, one lie. It is a 5-minute video. I'm going to sit here and watch the captions as we move on to the next game because I got to find out if he loves watching cat videos or not.
I feel like it's going to be gummy bears, and I like that's the lie. But I love gummy bears. I just feel like it could be the messy apartment, but that feels so stupid that you just wouldn't even pick that. You know?
The caption just showed up. Gummy bears, one of his favorite snacks. So that one's out.
I agree, though. I mean, gummies are like if I'm getting snacks, if we're going on like a road trip or something, like always gummies. I am a gummy boy. I think chocolate is, take it or leave it. Give me gummies all day. But how about if we give ourselves some Washington and Philadelphia?
His apartment is always clean. Thank God he loves watching cat videos. All right, I don't need to play a 6,500 goalie tonight in protest of Dobby Dobes because I had to jam in Rangers 1 and Draisaitl. So that's just fun times over here. All right, Washington, Philly. Back into the swing of things. Actually, let's look at the matchup for last game first. Vegas, New Jersey. New Jersey not looking too hot, though. Actually, Vegas hasn't been giving up much. I guess they just can't score. That's their problem.
They can't score. And I really do think like look at this. Like it hasn't been happening, but that there's Jack Eichel and Jack Hughes in this game. Like this game doesn't profile well, and I really do think it's going to keep people away. But I don't know. I think sometimes it's not like, oh, the last 10 games. Like, yeah, the last 10 games, Vegas has been horrific. As I said, are they horrific? Is the question I think you need to ask yourself. Like, is New Jersey actually boring and bad without Nico Hischier? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, makes sense.
I like the game fine. We can get over it. We keep it moving though.
Yeah, Washington Philly. We know the deal with Philly. Yeah. They
suck.
They're gonna look good because Torts is awesome at coaching, but the team sucks. So really? It is what it is there. They surely can't score, though. Am I stupid enough to try it again? Maybe. Just maybe.
What? Yeah, I want you to. Yeah. What were their expected goals per hockey biz in that game against Utah?
I honestly feel like it's low. 2.2.
Yeah. 1.5.
Okay.
I mean, I'm out. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm not playing Philly. In case you were thinking like maybe I was going to play Philly against Washington after like every single podcast I go on this, like I think every single show within the past 2 weeks, I've made a case for why you can stack against Washington. This time I'm not doing it. So Philly is going to smash, but I'm not.
You fool. I get it. I surely get it. I don't hate the thought process there. Washington on the road. I guess I don't love it. I mean, if they were kind of owned against Florida, against Philly, like they gotta get
they're going to be owned. I mean, like not only are they going to get owned because it's a decent play with, I would say fair pricing, right? 17.9 for that top line, all power play correlated. But like, and again, I think other people will also see that Philly sucks and say, screw it. I mean, let's go. But if they get the lead, Ovechkin is going to get an empty net goal. Like it's just death taxes and Ovi is scoring in the empty net. I mean, like it's just stupid. It is just a stupid time.
0.1 on the clock when that puck went in on Tuesday night. Incredible. I mean, this dude just knows how to score goals. It is unbelievable. I love it.
And the only thing that could maybe reduce their ownership a little bit is that people might punt with McMichael, Dubois, and Protas. Like I was watching the game at the end just because, the OV chase and whatnot. And when Protas scored the first empty net goal and they said it's 22nd goal of the season, like that couldn't have been true. And it is. It's a true
You
statement.
texted me you texted me and my mind just kind of like went blank. I was just like, what? like I, did you like listen to like the Hockey PDO cast or something? And like Dim Filipovic was like, oh, like this is my fever dream. He has 22 goals because every podcast he's like, I love Alexei Protas. And I'm like, okay, like I get it. He's big and cool, but like I guess now he just scores goals like he's Tage Thompson. So good for him.
Okay.
I get it. He is that line is 13.6K. A significant discount. You get like Michael on the power play. In reality, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that you just play the top line, but like, maybe projection systems try to force that second line. We'll see. I'm a little skeptical, but yeah. Anyway, on the Philly side, just sadness. I mean, look at the actual fantasy points column, and it's just sad. I mean, there's no two ways around it. The pricing actually bounced back up for Konechny and Michkov. Yep. I still do think, though, that this Forster-Cates Brink line is fine. I'm projecting that we're going to see Peltier play, but we're not going to see Kuzmenko yet. Obviously, pricing matters a ton. Like, Peltier was with Kadri at the time of the trade, so, like, he just got way priced up. He doesn't matter, so, like, we can just ignore him. If Kuzmenko draws in, actually, we will have his price. Okay, if he draws in, he's 5K, so that doesn't matter either.
No, it doesn't matter.
In reality, though, if these lines stay the way that they currently look, like fourth line's not going to play much at all, and Forster, Cates, Brink are like actively fine, and they cost you 11.4K. Both Forster and Cates are on the top power play. Like they're probably not scoring goals, but what if they do? Then you're getting 11.4K for 19 minutes for Forster and Cates, probably 16 for Brink, unless Michkov plays 18 minutes, in which case Brink probably only plays 12. Like you're dealing with the same type of player right there. I don't know. I just think that line's been so good that they at least merit some consideration with heightened minutes at home against not a weak defensive team, against a team that will allow shots. Like that is what Washington will do. They will allow shots. And for that cheap, they just need one goal to really like actually get there with some shooting. Like you don't need a 3-point bonus from each of these guys to make a winning lineup. So like at least consider it. I don't think it's a good play, but it's certainly a decent play. Like that's sort of where my head's at. And you might need the salary. It might be fun. So we'll see what other values we get to, but I assume we can move on, DJ, because you're just going to say, don't play Philly and move on.
Yeah, I've gone like 13 times. As I continue to look at this team and what they do, it's just like, no. Utah. Right. So, Matt, my first question to you is, how many shot attempts did Dylan Guenther have in his first game back?
Well, you can see his expected fantasy points mark. He did beat it, by the way. He had 24 expected fantasy points and beat it. He had 32, I think more on DraftKings when you consider the bonuses he had. I am going to go with 12, DJ.
12 is the correct answer. 12 shot attempts in his first game back, 50% of them on net, 2 of them in the back of the net. What 2, right? Was it 2, 3?
Yep. 2.
It was 2. Yep. He had an assist, I think.
Yes.
He had 3 points. Okay. Yeah. Silly time. It's silly time again. Dylan Guenther absolutely rocks. It's a good matchup. Keller, Schmaltz are probably going to get forgotten about. Hayton still super duper cheap. I mean, I one-offed Hayton and I just sat there watching Guenther do everything. And I mean, Hayton kind of got there. I think he had like 14 maybe or 13. I just realized like I am such a donkey. Like I really am the biggest donkey to ever freaking hee-haw in my I am such a Guenther slappy and I just didn't play him in the well, it is what it is. I that's why I didn't, bank the slate. So yeah, no, it's still a good play. Might get some ownership, of course. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'm not paying these prices for Keller Schmaltz. I've never really been a Keller guy relative to the rest of the population. So like he's fine. He's not 7,800 though. He's especially not 7,800 when Dylan Guenther's 6,200. Yeah, there's going to be some recency bias there. it's probably going to be 15-ish% owned between Hayton and Gunther because they already combined 10.3K. You mix in a pretty cheap Michael Carcone as their line mate, 13.7K for a full line stack with two really good players, and Carcone, who when you actually, if you have an NBA-like projection system where you're like, all right, I'm going to have per minute stats and I'm going to give him ice time. Well, Michael Carcone last game played 17 minutes. This is the first time, obviously, we've seen Hayton Gunther Carcone. Like, he played 17 minutes. He's going to project really well because he normally plays 10, 11 minutes. We see over time, Michael Carcone, over on the far right of the screen I'm sharing, is a decent clip above average per minute in generating fantasy points, shot attempts, and primary points. So, like, he is an offensive player. He's a guy for fantasy who is fine. 3,400 with a power play 2 job alongside Hayton Gunther. Like, this line is clearly a top stack. They are 13.7. That is probably going to be my top stack of the night.
Yep. We did get a question in the chat. I guess we'll cover it now while we're talking. Do you guys ever play 3 defensemen in GPP lineups? Always enjoy the show. Well, sorry about that. But I would say, like, there are circumstances when it's worth doing. And honestly, maybe this is stupid, but this is just what happens. Maybe my brain is wrong, but I feel like on smaller slates, I'm more apt to do it to get different than on larger slates. Just when it's like, there's so many options at forward that clearly have a higher ceiling. It's hard to like actually put it in a lineup that's like, but again, like, this is an example of maybe a slate where there's enough punt defensemen that you could consider it. I just find myself not doing it as much on bigger slates. Matt, any thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm pretty wary to do it with, especially with punt defensemen. Like, just if I'm going to try and shoot the moon for a one-off, like in the utility slot, like, I think I can find a power play 2 winger or whatever that like has just so much better chances of getting to the 20.
Yeah.
And again, punt's a punt. If you get 8 from a punt defenseman in the utility, sure, you could win. But I'm more likely to play 3 defensemen when I have sort of like a mid-tier sort of build where, maybe there's like a 4K defenseman that goes with the stack, and maybe one of the best plays of the slate is like a Thomas Harley-esque defenseman where you don't need to stack him, but like he's on a good team and a new role. And then you sort of have like a mini stack to close out the lineup, and it's like a Roman Yossi or whatever, someone like that where it's like 3 defensemen who are really good and they sort of pair with like that lower mid-range forward set. I think that's where I'm more likely to do it. Like, I just think you're losing out most of the time on not the projection. You're losing out more so on the upside, I think. And so in GPPs, that's sort of what I'm most worried about, especially in the larger field. Like, I sit here, I'm playing normally in that 200-man field, that, the 4-4-4, the 3-3-3 or whatever. And even then, I'm a little leery to do it. If you're doing it in like the 1,000-person single entry, or like the $5 or the $15 MME, or something like that, I think you're really drawing thin for the upside needed. But it's hockey, it's the same thing as, should you play 2 9-hole hitters in baseball? Well, probably not, but you could, because 2 9-hole hitters could get a home run. Like 2 punt defensemen get the blocks bonus to get an assist, and Dahlin scores a goal, and all of a sudden, hey, look, that lineup looks pretty good. So, it all sort of depends on what you want to do. In honesty.
Yeah, I think it's like people come over to the NHL on some of the bigger slates, and it's just like not a lot of intentionality to what they're doing. Like it has to be intentional, like you're saying. Like it has to fit what you're building, and it shouldn't be like, I was going to get different. I'm picking 3 defensemen tonight. Like I know that I want to play Provorov, and so I still have 2 defensemen I got to stack in, so I'm going to one-off Ivan Provorov, and it's like, well, don't do it because it's a good play that's going to be super owned. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's sort of a trap, more as like what you're saying, where it's like, like you can actually build a really cromulent lineup, to steal a word from our friends of this Smallcast.
One sneaky thing that I'm on the lookout for, Lawson Krause was a scratch last game. That's a guy who the team clearly doesn't want to have sit in the press box for long. Obviously, Josh Stone with Gunther back is very expendable. If for some reason Lawson Krause comes back and is with Michelli and Jack McBain, they should play power play together, and that line would end up costing, that turns out Lawson's not the correct terminology. Lawson Krause is 4,100, so that full line stack would get you to an exactly 11,000 line stack heading into Columbus. I don't mind that. I think that's pretty cool. On the Columbus side, where obviously you have a huge gaping hole in the lineup without Zach Werenski. He was quoted as day-to-day. They didn't seem too worried about him when he missed a game in Buffalo. They're at home again. I think it's very possible Zach Werenski plays. So I am currently assuming he's in. If Zach Werenski misses, though, we of course have the eternal Ivan Provorov question. Provorov was 30, pushed 35, I think, in smaller field stuff. Percent owned against Buffalo. Utah's not an imposing matchup. Provorov's price did go up 700, but I think projection systems wouldn't penalize him too much at that price, 4,600. And to me, I don't get it. I mean, this guy actively sucks. He doesn't generate fantasy points. He's been a little bit above average over the past 3 years, which includes his Philly days. But he's played a ton of minutes in Columbus with Werenski in the lineup, and he just sucks. I get it. He smashed and scored even against Buffalo, but
bullshit.
The team scored 2 goals and he assisted or scored both of them. That's not going to happen every day. So maybe he just took the horseshoe from Werenski and jammed it on up there and, kept going. But I don't see it. So if Werenski doesn't play, do expect Provorov to be pretty owned, but rest assured that I will not be following the masses. To that play, top line 16.9K. Adam Fantilli, DJ. We did it. The Adam Fantilli breakout. We made it happen. He's truly looking awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I was this guy is good. I mean, remember when he was plus 150 for a point, and we were just absolutely giga jamming every last morsel of it, and now he's 6,600. Just all the minutes, the shot volume, everything you could want and more. I think he's finally priced up to the correct amount, or at least right around it. So I don't know. I mean, if you're playing Columbus, whatever, but if it is no Werenski and it is Provorov, you just got to know they're going to get some ownership. They're going to come along for the ride, and they did against Buffalo. Unfortunately, they didn't come along for the ride as far as winning because Kent Johnston was the only other guy that kind of got there. But on the same token, they will get ownership. I will assure you of that. Not interested myself. I will be fading it either way and moving on to better games and matchups. Like I said, I at this point, I like Vegas. I like New Jersey. I don't really like anything else so far. That's kind of where I'm at. There's still 3 really, really good spots at least. Yeah, definitely 3.
Carolina.
And this is not, really one of them.
Carolina heads into Minnesota. I don't have the expected fantasy points on Rantanen and Taylor Hall. We can look those up very quickly. It's just a matter of they have games for both teams they were formerly on and their current team in Carolina, so it doesn't like that. And thus I need to pull it manually. In any case, we aren't looking at a matchup that we are very excited by.
No.
Minnesota, decent team defensively. They're giving up, I guess. I think their power or their penalty kill is what's sinking them primarily. And also, of course, without Kaprizov, they're not scoring. I find it hard to believe that Carolina puts up a score you can't live without. If you were to go somewhere, the stupid Hurricanes have stupid Brent Burns on their stupid top power play. He is 4,800, but if we're talking about a guy who can go 3 assists and 5 shots, Brent Burns for less than 5K, probably has to lead that list of less than 5K defensemen who can do that. So, it's not likely, but it's at least in the realm of possible outcomes. Minnesota, very famously, the team Brent Burns debuted with. Could this be the final time Brent Burns gets to chuck a puck from the blue line against a team that historically allows you to chuck a puck from the blue line and has a narrative? Yeah, it might be. It might be. So, DJ, thoughts on Carolina?
It's top line or nothing. You already made the clear case.
Yeah, we also don't know that We also don't know lines, by the way. They didn't
I
practice, or
know.
we didn't get
Yeah.
lines in practice. They practiced, but we didn't see anything. And
They
they did get a shutout. So
they got shut out by Winnipeg, which normally is like, oh, Hellebuck stole one, and it's like Eric Comrie kind of stole one, and also
have any thoughts about Eric Comrie, DJ?
We don't talk about him. He ruined the World Juniors for USA back in the day, and we don't talk about him anymore, even though he's fine. He seems like a goofy guy. Anyways, though, yeah, top line or bust. Top line's too expensive. I don't really have a lot to discuss here. Like, I'm not playing Carolina, and I'm certainly not playing Minnesota on the other side. So if you want to say anything else, yeah, Brent Burns makes sense, and the narrative and the nonsense, and Jackson Blake's on the top power play. We'll see if that sticks. If that didn't work, that clearly generated no goals, as we already mentioned. So I don't know. I mean, could you say, oh, well, like, they've been shut out, no one's going to play this game, and this, yeah, you can say these things, but who is putting up a score you must have is the question. And it just doesn't feel like it's anybody in this game. Even if this game ends up hitting over 5.5, like, I don't see where you're getting to the point of like, this is the DFS, so no.
Editor, if you're listening, when Carolina scores 7 goals and Brent Burns gets 5 assists, have DJ say no goals next to the UC Saros commercial where he goes no goals on repeat. And just, do that for me. Thank you, editor. All right. Okay. On the Minnesota side, by the way, we don't have an editor, but in my we have an editor. Minnesota, Matt Boldy's getting cheaper. The top line is getting cheaper. 18.3K in a very difficult matchup. I don't know. It's the worst possible matchup, but also Matt Boldy is $6,400, averaging 15 expected fantasy points a game, and actually getting 11 fantasy points per game. Like that's still pretty good.
Yeah. I hate that I'm actually more interested in Minnesota than I am Carolina, but like at the end of the day, you just look at this matchup and it's like, you're really it's still 18.3. It's not free. It's not, you know what I mean? Like it's a reduced price on a team that cannot score against a team that limits chances. Like they get scored on, but they limit a lot of the the smash potential. So man, you can try it. I guess you're going to get different. It's a 9-game slate. Like, I just don't think you have to do it.
Jake Lauko got hurt. They claimed Vinny Hinostroza off waivers from Nashville. I would guess he's playing as a result of that claim or whatnot, but do keep an eye on that. What that really does is it makes Liam Ogren's role tenuous because Ogren has picked up a power play 2 job. He's been not great, but he's been fine for fantasy.
He shoots.
Yeah, he shoots, and like the rest of the team, doesn't score. The power play, the second power play, like, you're getting feeds from Freddie Goodrow, Marcus Johansson, Brock Faber, and Jonas Brodin. Not necessarily going to move mountains for you there. It's not Draisaitl for McDavid for sure. But if Hinostroza draws in, like, that's, I think, a death knell for, Ogren. Because it's like, yeah, he could be still on the power play, but, like, Hinostroza also could just take that role. And, like, why play into risk for a Minnesota guy? I mean, you're probably not even considering it. So let's just keep going.
Yep.
Florida at St. Louis. Hey, DJ, did you know Matthew Tkachuk, like Brady Tkachuk, is from St. Louis?
That does sound like something that could be true. I'll have to verify it myself. I mean, Florida's in a great spot, and Matt Tkachuk has been really, really good. And obviously the top line for Florida looked good against Washington. It looks just as good, if not better, against St. Louis. I think the ownership will actually come this time around, but it's like this thing where we've kind of been like, I don't know how much ownership this is going to get. Maybe this will, like, we're getting to all the ownership. All of it exists, I think, in these last 4 games to a pretty big extent. And Washington, I think Washington one will find quite a bit. So, like, this is one of them. I wonder if Matt Tkachuk and Bennett kind of get there just because they've been good. Maybe Sam Eskevish comes back in the lineup. And like we mentioned, he was awesome before he got sick and missed like a week of hockey. I'm intrigued on this Florida team. I'd like to see what the ownership projections spit out, because last time they were pretty close. Maybe they'll be close again. So I don't think there's that much to discuss. Like Barkov for Hagee, Reinhart, power play 1, fully correlated, not break the bank. It's just about 20K, I believe. And then Matt the Chuck has just looked the part, hasn't been finishing. I mean, again, like his brother from St. Louis. And, well, actually, he has 4 goals in 4 straight. Never mind. I guess he is finishing now. He wasn't finishing, and then he started finishing. So maybe he's finishing now. Good for him. Yeah.
Well, DJ, the expert on guys finishing. So just make sure you ask him if you
no, not like that. Not like that. I mean scoring goals.
Slide right into his DMs, and he'll offer you some assistance on finishing.
Guys finishing.
All right. So
if you have a guy that can't finish, call me. I'll help him finish.
That is such a good bit. If I had any sort of desire to be a,
the real problem is
NHL
I'm actually doing like the Saul Goodman bit, and you don't even know what it is, even though you love Saul Goodman, the DFS player. You don't even know like Saul Goodman is.
That's right. I truly.
Which makes you Owen Zellweger because you don't watch TV.
Yes, I've never identified with a player more than when Olin Zellweger's like, I don't watch TV. Like, what do you mean?
I watch hockey, I play hockey video games, and I listen to Nickelback, and that was like sold. Yeah, we've gone way down the rabbit hole now. Florida, great play.
I only know the one Nickelback song, so I wish I could make a better
Nickelback song.
Yeah, The Photograph.
You don't know like Animal or
maybe, but I don't know it. I don't know it to be a Nickelback song. Like I probably know a lot of songs by Nickelback.
Yeah, there was a bunch in the NHL video games back in the day, so I guarantee you'd recognize some.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They're Canadian. Okay, yeah, like Florida. Are you playing Florida tomorrow? Are you going to click the buttons on the Florida Panthers? Back on track.
I'm definitely more interested if Mackie Samoskevich draws in, just for a bit of, I guess, difference. It's a little bit more fun than Jesper Boqvist, who just sucks. Like top line, fine, 19.8K, totally fine. I don't hate it. I don't love it though, honestly. Like St. Louis, I'm leaving the door open for St. Louis being an okay team still.
Yeah.
And certainly if ownership's going to come to Florida on the road, all the mumbo jumbo, whatever, just a little leery about that. But Mackie especially would make things interesting. Did they go 11-7 last game, or did I just randomly do this?
I think they did. Let me just pull it up really quick. I thought they did because I remember that made me think even more. No, I guess they had Gadjevich in, so I guess they didn't. They played Nozick, Greer, and Gadjevich 6 minutes. I mean, they lost. So
okay, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I just never updated it. I don't know. I don't think anything happened to Gadjevich, so I guess I just saw it and didn't put him in.
Yeah, it's.
I think as a reminder. Oh, I did it. I figured it out. I did it as a reminder to myself to talk about Mackie Samoskevich. See, this is where this is how the sausage gets made, folks. And DJ just did my job for me, so
I helped you
move on. Thank you, DJ, for your assistance.
To St. Louis we go.
To St. Louis, new lines for St. Louis in practice today. Buchnevich, Thomas, Dylan Holloway, Jake Neighbors, Shen, Jordan Kyrou, Bolduc, Sundqvist, Texier, and then Walker, Faxa, Toropchenko stays the same. Yes, it's me, Dylan Holloway guy. We're back on our bullshit. Despite a lack of anything lately, I mean, this actual fantasy point column is shades of Philadelphia. That's how sad it is. With Colton Parayko being far and away their most productive player over the last 10. Dylan Holloway has been the highest expected fantasy point player, and he's been quite solid in that regard. 11 expected fantasy points per game to only 7 actuals. He gets a promotion to the Thomas Buchnevich pairing at 5-on-5, 5-on-5. So he's now a trio with that duo, I guess is what I was trying to say. And I still think that the Kyrou Holloway power play is their top power play. They're scoring more. I think they're the first over the boards more often than not, though last game that wasn't the case. So, yeah, I think Dylan Holloway is a really interesting option. I like Dylan Holloway, especially in Florida builds. Just sort of saying, okay, well, this game on a 9-game slate, maybe there's 9 goals here. I'm guessing Florida doesn't win, 8-1. Maybe it's a 5-4 game, or even something like 5-2, and Holloway still just is shooting and gets a goal, or like Holloway is a benefactor from a situation where the Florida top guys are on the ice the most. So I really like that 5,200 with the promotion for him. I don't think there's any attention being paid to Dylan Holloway. I might even take a gander back into like the sportsbook aspect of Dylan Holloway, but we're just Dylan Holloway slappies over here. So DJ, any interest in St. Louis with or without Dylan Holloway?
I mean, I think his ceiling isn't high enough for me to want to play him in DFS, but I do think his median is pretty solid in this situation that he could get there in a bet. So I agree with that sentiment, and the rest I'm good. We can move on.
All right. Colorado heads into Calgary. Same deal as the Carolina guys. Marty Necas, no expected fantasy points because I would need to pull that custom. So just I will do that for the Thursday slate. But anyway, Lehkonen, McKinnon, Necas was how they lost to Vancouver. They got shut out, so that could change certainly, but we'll see. Jewin, Middlestat, Parsonen, and Miles Wood, Jack Drury, Ross Colton. DJ, any interest in Colorado?
I mean, I definitely do. Like, let's just start there because I think people will respect the Flames more than they should, and I don't think they should. And maybe coming off the the shutout, whatever it is with McKinnon, I think that's where I'm going here. I think that's going to end up being my lineup is McKinnon plus one of his line mates plus Makar. And I'll be the donkey that ends up playing some punts around it. And what are those punts going to be is the question. I think there's some options, but this is like, if I don't end up going with Vegas or New Jersey or Florida, I think that this is also right in the mix, but I actually think it's my favorite is just playing around McKinnon and hopefully Necas and Makar. Really, really expensive, but in my purview, 7,900 for Makar is totally fine. I think you could jam him in with McKinnon. You could even just do those two. I think that is also just another angle. There's punts on this slate. I think there's enough to find a lineup that makes it work. So I do think this is going to end up being my top stack.
All right. Yeah, I showed the matchup. I mean, it looks fine for Colorado for sure. I have a long-standing affliction, or what's the opposite of an affliction? Aversion to one Mr. Nate McKinnon. For what it's worth, last 5 games from Marty Necas, he's at 14.4 expecteds and 10.8 actuals. So, right in line with McKinnon on the expecteds and a little bit cheaper. So you can certainly make that a 3-man stack with Makar is what I'm saying. You can, I guess at ownership that I'm expecting, I guess you probably shouldn't play Necas without McKinnon. Like if a 15% Necas gets there, the 28% McKinnon's just probably doing well enough to get there too. So like you're probably just losing anyway. It's not like when you win with Necas, you don't just automatically win because he'll be pretty owned too. I think that's where I am at currently on the matter. But Necas has certainly been very, very it's been very beneficial to him to play. Let me see. 111 minutes in 5 games. So what is that? 23 minutes a night almost. Yeah. Just insane shit for a guy who couldn't sniff 16 in Carolina most nights.
And just glued to McKinnon, which means probably glued to Cal Makar. So I love it. And I just hope it doesn't get owned. And I probably, this is probably the one that's like, oh, please don't play the clear cut top guys on this slate, guys. Don't do it. And they're obviously going to.
And it's a matter of parsing between Colorado and Toronto, I think. We'll touch on Calgary real quick. Joel Farabee, I think, scored twice.
He scored
against. Did he score once or twice? I think it was twice.
Wow. I watched 1 goal. I don't remember watching 2. I was watching the game somewhat closely. I think 1. Yeah.
Okay.
It was Farabee, Coronado, Sharangovich. That's 3.
All right. Anyway, Joel Farabee, 4,500 on that top line. I again, am of the camp that he sucks. I listened to Cliffy, and he's like, yeah, I think Joel Farabee's really good. So like, I get it. I understand what you're looking at with Joel Farabee, especially the pass production. He's a scorer.
Oh
To
my
me,
God, your Farabee got the goal called back. In the first period, had a goal called back.
did I watch? I don't even think I watched that. Maybe I
Because
saw it
he
on
scored
Twitter
the
or
third
something. It was
goal,
like,
but he had one called back in the first. That's right. I was literally like, I thought he scored right away. I'm like, oh no. Yeah, he had a goal called back.
okay, yeah, whatever. Sure, I guess I was right. Kind of. He scored twice with an asterisk. Anyway, you could chase that if you want to. That full line would be 18K. Not going to get much ownership going up against probably the second line, maybe the third line. But the problem here is that the Backlund line, that of course we usually go to, is a little bit more priced up than normal. They're 15.3K, and they're going to be tasked with chasing around Nate McKinnon, which means they also get the Cal McCarr matchup. It's just probably more difficult. Like, yes, the ice time goes up a little bit, but you're also kind of dealing with, I think, elevated prices. So I'm a little leery there. And we saw in the game that Morgan Frost and Sharon Govich flip-flopped off the power play. And Sharon Govich unit, when he was on that top unit, scored twice. So I think that sticks. I don't know for sure. Obviously, I don't know if there were specific factors, but for that unit to score twice with Sharon Govich and not Frost, I think that's intentional. So 5K for Sharon Govich, though, you're probably just not going there. So
No, I know.
are we safe to pass on all Flames?
I think it's safe to pass on. We
All
can get over to again. Again, I think Colorado will be chalky. I think Toronto, in the actual highest implied team total by at least a margin. Minus 166 road favorites, 6.5 over under. We didn't see Marner play last time out. I guess we're unsure. It sounds like I'm guessing won't play, but you're putting him in there, so
They
I don't
expect
know.
him to play. Berube said
Okay,
they expect him to play.
maybe he plays. That top line isn't astronomically expensive, and it's absolutely world beating. I totally and completely understand the play in every single capacity. It's going to get tons of run. I mean, Matthew Nyes and Austin Matthews led the forwards last game in time on ice. Power play usage. They're dynamic. They can both score. It just feels like Matthew Nyes is coming into his own at 5K, and it's just going to make it even easier to jam against a pretty lifeless Seattle team. I think I'm going the Colorado side and hoping that everyone gloms on to Toronto, and I understand why they would. It does feel like kind of pick your poison between the two, though. So what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that Toronto prices went up like a rocket from last slate. Riley went up 1,000. I think Nylander also went up 1,000. Tavares went up by several hundred. Patches is over 5K. Nice 5K, like you said. Bobby McMahon 6,300. Nicholas Robertson 4,800. Like, come on. Like, this feels like a Matthews Marner or nothing show. But man, I'm a little skeptical. I don't really respect Seattle, which is a problem. But like, I also look at those prices and I'm like, God, like, do I really want to spend a ton of cap on that? With, I guess my main problem is the uncertainty of power play, and also what the hell did he do with Max Domi? So like, Max Domi was where Mitch Marner was. Like, are they going to break up one of these other lines to play Max Domi? Maybe he goes to the third line with Pontus. Maybe that just happens and it doesn't matter. But like, I feel like Max Domi could
not matter.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's just still a question mark to me. Like, they could go Marner, Tavares, Nylander if they liked how Nyes, Matthews, Marner played, or Nyes, Matthews, Domi played. So
I feel like I'm in a similar stance of like, I don't respect Seattle, but I don't know if I want to go to the extreme levels that I think could exist on this slate. Like, it's the highest total, like I said, only 6.5, and Toronto is already probably more popular just because of their popularity. Like, and like nobody respects Seattle. They look at the standings, look at everything. So like, I really think it's going to be the chalk of the night is this Toronto side. I'm going to fade it out of respect of the chalk donkeys. But
yes,
yeah.
The McKinnon Slappies are happy to have you on board, DJ.
I might be joining the McKinnon Slappies on Thursday night, so I'm hoping they'll have me.
Yeah, it's an open invite.
Submitted, yeah, I submitted my my paperwork. Have not been accepted yet.
Right.
We'll see.
Well, on the Seattle front, I mean, between Dylan Gunther and Shane Wright both scoring 2 goals last night, my pants were off.
Yeah, they were.
Got to say, I'm not going to be DMing DJ for any help anytime soon. Nothing like that.
Doesn't need it. He is finishing, folks. So was Shane Wright and Dylan Gunther.
Yep, exactly. So I don't know. Like, again, it's a 6.5. I get that. Like, that's cool. Wright, McCann, Burakovsky, 3 really fun players. Like, kind of feels like their best line. But also, I don't know. Do I really want to pick on Toronto when I sort of just disagree with the sentiment that this game is a 6.5 total?
Right.
Like, that's sort of where I'm coming down on it. But Taco Benier Schwartz has been legitimately good. They've remained legitimately good. And then Bjorkstrand, Stevenson, Tolvanen. I think Stevenson is on a point streak. Is that possible?
Oh God, I would not know, and I do not want to know.
Okay, no, he has 4 points in his last 3 games, but that's because he had a 3-point net against San Jose, and that doesn't really count.
Yeah, it's not that hard to do.
He does have 4 goals and 5 assists in his last 10, though. So almost a point a game.
I'm gonna ask you. Seattle's obviously not going to be owned. Let's just say you're like, I don't know, not doing well. Maybe you're swapping. Maybe you're just trying to be a very unique person on this slate, and you're playing Seattle.
Stupid.
Okay. And you could be stupid. Okay. What is your 3-man stack?
If I'm being bold and ambitious and audacious, I'm just playing Shane Wright, Jared McCann, and Andre Burakovsky. I think
you're telling me jamming. I mean, Montour and Dunn have been good. I know they're super expensive, but it's just like part of me just wants to believe like if Seattle's getting there, like Montour has had very, very good output. I mean, the 2-goal game, 2-assist game. He has an 8-shot on goal game in the mix. Like, no one's going to play him. I mean, he's not going to project all that well. I mean, and then you look at Vince Dunn. You see an 8-shot on goal game, a 5-shot on goal game. You see 2 goals. Like, to me, I have this feeling that like, if you're playing Seattle and you're not clicking on one of these 2 defensemen, I just think you're doing it wrong.
All right. Well, my counter is 2 assists, Anaheim. 2 goals, San Jose. 8 shots, Calgary. I rest my case.
All right. I mean, I'm not going to play it, but I'm just letting you know that I think if you play it, you should play it the way I think you should play it.
Well, thank you for caring. And that's all I can really ask for.
That's why they paid me the big bucks. To finish guys and to tell you how to play Seattle on a 9-game slate. Now we get to the final game of the night. If you're ready, the last chalk spot, Vancouver at San Jose, as we just mentioned, playing against San Jose.
I'll say it. I don't get how this gets chalky. I don't.
Yeah, it's too expensive.
Where do the projections, like what projection system, like are you just dusting off the 2022 projections you have if Elias Pettersson at 7,200 projects for a lot of fantasy points? Like,
you might be.
Are you projecting Philip Hedl to play 29 minutes at 6K? Like, I do feel like this won't be as popular as it should be because pricing matters. And so like that's sort of where my head's like. Connor Garland is $6,000 on the top line, but he's not on the top power play. In practice, it was Pettersson, DeBrusk, Hedl, Besser, Philip Hronek. So I don't know. It's a 19K line. The second line with Drew O'Connor, no power play time at all, 17K. So yeah, I'm struggling to see it personally. Quinn Hughes is ruled out, by the way, will not travel with the team. So that's that.
And Hronik's 4,800. It's not like he's a value here. I mean, he doesn't really shoot. So I'm going to say two things. Number one, I don't think you need to get crazy here. Like, I think you could even just one off a guy on Vancouver. I think that is at least an option. Like, you could just play Jake DeBrusk. You could just play Brock Besser. You could just play Elias Pettersson. Like, I think you could reasonably do that. I'm not sure if that's where I'm going to end up on this slate. Like I already said, I'm trying to spend all my cap on Colorado, like the slappy I am. How in the world am I going to afford these lines that are clearly overpriced in a good matchup, albeit? So yeah, I don't think I'm getting there. I guess my question to you is like, let's say you are clicking on Vancouver because you say, projections be damned. This is a 4, kind of Hedel, Besser, DeBrusk, and Pettersson are going to see a ton of run in a game against San Jose, who can give up, a touchdown like nobody else. Like how are you playing it? Are you looking at Marcus Pettersson at all? Are you looking at like another guy maybe to afford it? Like, I don't know. This just feels like it's difficult, but is it solvable?
Yeah, it's probably Hedel Besser for me. And I'll play Hronik. Like that combination gets you right about 17,000. My guess is maybe Elias Pettersson DeBrusk is the more popular build with Hronik, but man, I just really struggle to see a projection system looking at Pettersson's output and going, it's different this time for 7,200. Like I feel like Hedel Besser will be more owned, but I also prefer that side anyway. So that's where I'm going. But yeah, I think this is just what I'm doing in all honesty. Like again, if I'm not playing Colorado or Toronto, like I have some salary in the mid range to work with, but we'll see. If Vancouver's going to be 25% owned because of the matchup, like I'm fine without Quinn Hughes. Like, I'll take my chances on nonsense happening or Askarov showing up finally. But yeah, I think Vancouver's at the top of my list so far as well. On the San Jose side, it's a little bit more straightforward in the absence of, well, actually, I don't know what their power would look like in the absence of Michael Granlund, because I'm guessing it was not Andrew Pacioretty, Buffalo's finest right there.
No, it was Will Smith, Celebrini, Eklund, Toffoli, Wallman. They scored twice on the power play. Perfect.
So yeah, we get oh my God, 5K Will Smith.
Yeah, welcome to the danger zone, folks. I mean, he's playing. He just isn't really doing enough in DFS for it to be 5K. Like he's not bad. It's just pick him up, I guess, on the waiver wire in your season long if you want. But I mean, this Vancouver team isn't great, and they don't have Quinn Hughes, and it's like it's kind of always been the narrative. It's like, oh, when Quinn Hughes isn't on the ice, oh boy, not great, and he's not going to play a single second of this game. So I could absolutely see going the other way. The Eklund, Celebrini revenge narrative, Tyler Toffoli, anybody who has been nails, I dare say. Like I'm interested the other way here. I am interested the other way.
Okay. For the idiots out there like me, Vancouver's fixed. They shut out Colorado. They killed them. I mean, they were leading throughout. 3.5 expected goals to 2.4 for Colorado.
Did you watch any of that game? Like, it was vintage Demko.
It was
like, I'm not saying that it was like crazy because like the expected goals weren't, but like Makar had the post 3 times.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
but
I'm not saying that Colorado looked good. I'm just saying that like no one on Colorado looked good except for the top line and McKinnon, which is always the case. And I don't know. I'm not saying I'm actually probably, again, like I don't know how I'm affording the San Jose top line. I don't know how you click on the other options here and feel like you've built a lineup that has a chance. Yeah. So like, I don't think I'm playing it, but like, I genuinely think it's a fine play. Like Celebrini and Toffoli are smashing together. And
let's think back though to the last time that this transpired. I'm trying to think of who's the player that's played in every game for Vancouver to look at their game logs. Has Besser? I think Besser's played in every game. Let's look at it. They shut out the Besser, or it's just It's just so long ago. They beat the brakes off of Edmonton, didn't they? Like
I
a
don't know.
couple
Maybe.
weeks ago.
I feel like they beat Edmonton after like it seemed like it was like dire straits, and then they beat Edmonton, and everyone's like, "Oh, maybe things are gonna work out with JT Miller and Elias Pettersson."
And then they lost to the Sabres, is what I was trying
and
to
then
get
they
at.
lost to the Sabres. Yeah,
And so this is the exact situation where I'm going to sit here and go, look at that last game. They looked good. They played defense. And then San Jose is going to walk onto the ice, and Vancouver is going to be like, whoa, who are you? Like, what are we doing here?
My
And
pants are full of poop.
yeah. And so that certainly could be the wait. Askarov is 6,500.
Oh, not again. He
Well,
is.
he got sent down to the AHL for the All-Star game, but I
yeah, it's
imagine he's
over.
called back up. So keep an eye on that,
Oh
people.
no, they're gonna
Keep
make me play
an
a minimum
eye
salary
out.
goalie.
I mean, in reality, Vanacek, Georgiev are 7K, so like
Yeah,
6,500 isn't a huge difference.
to me it
But
is.
you know, a little bonus. Yeah, a little bonus if you're one of the slappies for sure, who just sees the minimum goalie like me and goes, "Yep, that's my guy." No thought needed. So anyway, fun little. This is why I do it. This is why I do it. This is. I don't think that this has been useful one time this entire season, but in building this Excel, I'm like, well, I got to do it because in case the starters randomly minimum salary, I want to see that on the night before, and it finally worked. So, pat on the back to me. All right. Anything else you want to add before we get to top sacks guarantee goals?
No, we're good. Let's close up shop here. So yeah, top stacks, guarantee goals, McKinnon, Nachos, Makar, call me. An innovator, a revolutionary figure that comes out of here and just gives you I mean, wow, who could have seen it coming?
Barrett Hayton, Dylan Gunther, Michael Carcone, lock it in. Top stack.
Yeah, I mean that's the play with what I'm doing. How much is Carcone again? 34.
34.
Yeah. That's kind of the build I'm looking at right now. With a scar off at minimum salary, you can make that function. You're gonna have to punt, of course, but that's sort of where my head is at as we close shop. What I don't know, 12 hours before. No, like 18 hours before lock, 17 hours before lock. I just again like there's going to be a ton of punt stacks you could in theory play here with this. I don't think there's anything that's like a complete standout. I'm just going to say Washington won and move on. These are kind of the two chalkier stacks that I'm between. I have some stacks that I would pair with Washington that would be a more unique, I think, but I do think that this is like probably the actual good play of Strome, Ovechkin, Wilson is like that's the one that didn't get priced up. Feels like a lot of the others have got priced up. This really didn't. So I think I'm going to throw that in there for now. I don't know if I'm going to play it, but I really think that that's the other like good cheaper-ish stack. So I'll say it.
What was your second one? I completely.
I'm going Washington. Just top line Washington.
Cool. I know I said Vancouver stuff, but I want to save that. So let's go with the Minnesota top line. Boldy, Eriksson, Zuccarello.
Wow.
Top stack number 2. We live bold. We live bold. We live through Matt Boldy.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, my recap is Vegas and New Jersey, Washington, Utah, Florida, Colorado. I'm fading Toronto, but obviously it's good. And then I have tentative interest in San Jose. I don't think I'm going to play Vancouver, to be honest. Just too expensive. It's unnecessarily expensive.
Okay.
Guaranteed.
Number 1, Filipino. Guaranteed goal.
Well, I think that's fine. I mean, let me just put it in.
I love the
last
player.
Time out,
he's power play 1. And they're obviously incentivized to use him and see what he can do. Yeah. And
we both went
he's been
1-1. We both went 1-1 last time out. You know what? Actually, I feel like your second guy is going to be Dylan Holloway, so I'm going to guess your second guy is Dylan Holloway. Isn't he 5K?
He's 552. Yeah,
just out of your range, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Maybe I'll try to get different than you then. Give me Matt the Chuck. I'll go high low. Give me the hometown boy.
All right. I have 5K left. Obviously, it's Shane Wright's season. He's just going to keep scoring. He's going to do the things where he scores goals. And I mean, did you see the 2 goals he scored?
I saw one of them. I don't remember the second one. I feel like I don't. Oh, maybe I only saw the. Yeah, I think I only saw the one he like absolutely sniped on. Was that power play? Were both power play? Why do I feel like?
It was on the rush, so I don't think so.
Well, boy, 3,500 is more sparse than I thought it would be. Like I thought someone would be like, "Oh yeah, that guy."
It's in the pod Discord, the one I'm talking about. If you are not certain.
Who is the slappy punt of the night?
Let's see. You have
3,500.
35.
I feel like every single player is just bad.
They are all priced up.
Like, how is there not just like one guy that's like, oh yeah, that guy's like power play? I mean, like Bobby Brink.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna say it's probably Philly. Is like
it's got to be Bobby Brink. Yeah, but Bobby Brink is playing a ton of minutes in like power play 1, so I think it's Bobby Brink. Yep. Robert Brinketh the first.
We do love our Bobby Brink out here. So
I mean, he can score. He knows how to do it. He's shooting.
If you think towards benches Michkov, then Bobby Brink's your guy because that's the other guy that's going to pick up shifts when Michkov gets benched. So
yeah,
have at it.
19 minutes last game. I think this slate we said slappy and finish more than anyone's ever said slappy and finish ever. So congratulations to us.
To be fair, I did listen to the Soulcast recently, so they definitely have the record for slappy.
I left off at when they built the perfect DFS lineup, and all of them like collectively agreed that was winning the slate, and that was where I left off, and it was a good time.
Do you have any Island Women stories you'd like to share with us, DJ?
No, I don't. I just like, yeah. I mean, again, no matter what we do in this world, we're never going to be that funny, and that's just what we have to live with. We have to live with that. Like that whole thing was already funny, and somehow Kitchen, like unbeknownst to him, made it so much funnier. Just trying to be like normal about life. I mean, again, we're like just talking about a bit with inside a bit, but like. God,
oh, shit.
Listen to the Swolecast this week. The Super Bowl's not worth watching. Just listen to the Swolecast. You're good. You got everything you need.
All right, let's get out of here. My water's out. I'm very thirsty. I'm a thirsty boy. So let's head into our Thursdays. Let's win some money on Thursday. What do you say?
Yep, and then get ready for the 4-nation face-off. Go the United States of America.
Yes, we love the United States. Everything is perfect. All that said, I'm on Twitter at Moods.
Wait, I got a joke. It's going to be terrific.
I get it. Okay. DJ is at DJonesMitchell94. The podcast is at Morningscape Pod. Make sure you're checking out DJ's Twitter feed in the morning or my Twitter lists in the morning. You'll get all of the up-to-date Morningscape information. Tuesday was very relevant to us, so that's important. In addition to this podcast, of course. And lastly, make sure you DM us if you went in on the Morningscape Pod Discord. It is free. My newsletter is moods.beehive.com. I am actively working on Best Puck Zamboni data, the playoff contest in the NHL over on Underdog. So no slate write-up this week, but I'm hoping during the 4 Nations break to have a few manifesto type posts about that playoff contest. And you won't miss it if you are subscribed to my newsletter, moods.beehive.com. And if you're in the Morningscape Pod Discord, where of course you'll see it as well. All right, DJ, thank you for your time here. I appreciate you getting up and leaving because it is very warranted. from Doug, from DJ, from myself, have a good Thursday, everybody, and we will see ya.
Did you like